Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on how to streamline the build with OpenSpace. While we're waiting for everyone to join, please type in the city or state that you're joining us from in the chat. It's always interesting for us to see the mix of cities and states of our attendees. And in the meantime, we'll give everyone just a couple of minutes to get logged in and settled.
Seeing some messages that the chat is disabled, but I do see people posting now. It seems to be working.
I can certainly see the chat. We've got all across the country, actually, and then we've got New Zealand, Australia, all kinds of good stuff coming in. Thank you so
Germany
much.
too. We got Munich tuning in.
Absolutely. We'll give it just a couple more seconds. All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome to today's webinar on how to streamline the build with OpenSpace. My name is Lisa Marshall. I am the head of sales enablement here at OpenSpace, and I will be your moderator for today. We're really excited about what we have to show you. And throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A or the chat, and we'll make note of them. We'll be sure to get to as many questions as possible at the end of today's presentation. And before we begin, I'd like to share a raffle that we've created for anyone who would like to participate, including those of you who are here live today or anyone who is watching the recording before the deadline. You can win an RTIC cooler. To enter, click the link in the chat or visit the link listed in this slide. You just need to register as a new or existing member of the OpenSpace community and write your answer to the question we've listed. You must enter by Friday, July 29th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, and the winner will be announced in the community on Monday, August 1st. And now I'd like to introduce Gabe Munoz, one of our solution engineers here at OpenSpace.
All right. Hello, everyone. Just to introduce myself and our guest speakers here, my name is Gabe Munoz. I'm a solutions engineer here at OpenSpace. I've been with the company for about 3 years now, and joining me, I have Sarah Ortiz and Chris Sowler, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Sarah, do you want to go first?
Unmute. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Ortiz. I am a project engineer with Becca Electric and Technologies. I've been with Becca for almost 2 years, starting on a hospital job and then hopping over onto my current team here at SEA, where Chris and I work on a conveyor project. We started using OpenSpace in about October 2021, and we're really excited to share how we use it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Sowler. I'm a project manager at VECA, and I've worked here for about 6 years. Currently, we are on the second phase of a project here at SEA. We didn't have OpenSpace on the first phase of this project, so we're looking forward to showing you how we've implemented OpenSpace and how it's made our life easier.
All right, and then just talking about our agenda for today, we'll go through kind of an introduction for VECA Electric and Technologies, show you kind of what the OpenSpace capture process and navigating the platform looks like, and then just some of the reasons for using 360 images and a platform like OpenSpace, along with some of our other features and functionality like field notes and the use cases of the VECA team and some of their experiences with it on their project. And we'll kind of end with a wrap up and kind of summary of what we discussed. So jumping into the introduction for VECA, Sarah?
Alrighty, so before we hop into OpenSpace, Chris and I wanted to speak a little bit about who VECA is. So we are an electrical contractor based in Seattle, Washington, with a couple other locations throughout Washington and one in Idaho. Chris and I are on the transportation and infrastructure team here at VECA, where we work on heavy civil and industrial projects, including air and seaports. VECA does really great work on all of our projects, big and small, and I think it's super important to emphasize how awesome our electricians are, because without them, our work wouldn't really be as great as it is. Chris?
So Sarah mentioned we work in the transportation infrastructure division at VECA, which includes public work projects such as airports and light rails. At VECA, we also have highly trained teams that specialize in commercial, industrial, technologies, medical, and data center projects. One of VECA's highest priorities is making its safety program the best in the industry, and we were actually rated the #1 safest electrical contractor in Washington and #3 overall in construction companies. We strive to embody our company values in serving our customers and providing the highest quality product. Next slide.
Perfect. So now jumping in to kind of what OpenSpace is and how it works. I'm just going to give a brief overview here before we pass it back to the VECA team to talk through kind of their experiences. So for anybody that hasn't seen OpenSpace before, the way it works is an off-the-shelf 360 camera magnetically mounted to the hard hat, and then using it in conjunction with our mobile app. All the user needs to do is mark the starting location on the sheet that they're going to be walking, and it's as easy as that. So it's just tap and go. From there, you're able to, let me go to the next slide here. From there, you're able to walk wherever you'd like. The camera is taking a picture every half second. And when you finish the walk, all you need to do is upload it. And then you're able to view kind of like a Google Street View style output, which I'll show in a second, within about 15 to 30 minutes from the time of upload. So you're able to capture easily, the data is available fast, and then anybody that has access to the project can jump in and view any of the captured images from a mobile device or computer browser, right? Kind of wherever you are in the world. And then jumping into the demo here, we'll kind of show you what that looks like. So after the fact, you have kind of this first person 360 view. It is a 360 camera, so it is recording in all directions, right? You don't have to worry about turning your head. And then you're able to navigate it using these blue circles. So kind of Google Street View style, you have these waypoints that you can use to navigate. The camera is taking a picture every half second, so I can toggle through frame by frame, or I can use the mini map here to navigate. And you can see the path walked here, right? So I can click to go anywhere along that path. And again, the idea is really speed and simplicity, right? So all of this capture, you can see the timestamp here, 4:48. I go to the first frame, started at 4:48, ended at 4:49. So this walk took 2 minutes, and you have all of these 360 images to reference from there. There aren't any captured time limit limitations. You can walk in circles, you can walk a different path each time. It's completely up to you. And because we're automatically kind of recording this data along with those location and orientation stamps, we're able to do things like automatically allow customers to do comparisons over time. So everything is sort of linked together. You can jump forward in time in any spot that's been captured kind of before or after the date you're looking at. And you can do it with these arrows, or kind of looking at these dates in dark blue means you have a capture from that location. So you can kind of jump around that way. And you do also kind of have a full historical view of all the captures done across sheets, right? So whether you're going back in time a week or back in time 6 months, you can find the exact capture that you want for any issues or questions that come up later in construction. Along with the different ways to view, you're also able to create notes in the platform. So as you're walking, you're able to create what we call field notes. And you're able to do that in a couple of ways. So you can actually take pictures while you're walking with the 360 camera. So you start the capture, you're able to press the field note button and then snap photos with your mobile device that are automatically pinned to the floor plan in the location and the orientation that you were looking in when you took them. So I know a lot of teams are taking cell phone pictures now, just makes it that much easier with them being sort of automatically organized for you. You can also create these field notes after the fact. So while you're looking at captures, if somebody on the team notices something, you can hit this create a field note button, drop the icon. It takes the view in that direction from the 360 camera. And we do have markup features for you to go in and get really specific. You have that location context. There is the ability to status the field notes. We also have custom tags that you're able to use, sort and filter reports by, as well as the ability to send email alerts to project team members. You can input due dates and also attach files. And once that field note is saved, you're actually also able to have team members comment back, or you can add comments that are all date and time stamped as well. The last way that you can create field notes is just from the mobile device, outside of the 360 walk. You're also able to just snap a picture and pin its location yourself. So you can kind of keep all of your documentation in one place. Yeah, so that's kind of the overview of OpenSpace and how it works. And now I'm going to just kind of do a quick summary here of why we see kind of customers adopting OpenSpace, right? So the tap and go nature of the captures, right, versus snapping photos and having to organize them into folders. By date and timestamp or by file names, right? So the ease of gathering the data and then the speed at which you're able to view it. So about 15 minutes after the captures are uploaded, you can see all of your data. And then, just the ability to communicate with it, right? Coordination with external stakeholders. So for OAC meetings, that use case comes up a lot for RFIs, right? Being able to show someone exactly where and when the image is from, and then being able to verify the work that was completed in any given time period, right? You have date and timestamps along with the images to back you up in any conversations you're having around that. All right, now we'll pass it back to Becca to jump into their experience using OpenSpace. So Sarah, back to you.
All right, so as I'm sure many of you already know, documentation on any project is super important. And on our current conveyor project, pre-OpenSpace, we did do a lot of documentation. We used to do, capturing videos with GoPros, or we'd take video or photos on our phones and stuff, all to just document the current state of the project at different points. And these videos and photos would either live on our phones or be labeled and stored in some sort of folder system for whenever they might be needed. These pieces of documentation were not really the most accessible in the sense that you had to wade through pretty much all of them to hopefully find, the little bit of documentation that you're actually looking for. So in general, as I'm sure, some of you know, this can be quite a tedious task and can take just a lot of time. Now going into how our team utilizes OpenSpace, we initially started using OpenSpace mainly for the capturing capability, the ease of just taking a camera out on our normal site walk, uploading the footage, and just having OpenSpace do the rest of the work. Being able to see these capture routes on our drawings and being able to click on the specific places on the map and see exactly what was happening in that area at a specific time was super huge for our team. Another documentation practice we have done on our project is tracking any and all field issues in a simple Excel spreadsheet. We would go on field walks, we write down notes on our phones of any issues that we ran into. And then when we got back to our office, we would retype them up into that Excel spreadsheet. And this document would be shared with our GC and any other subs that were on that walk or involved in any of those issues that we were tracking. So consistently documenting issues like this is super necessary for our project, since it's a little unique in the sense of the coordination and planning of the sequencing that goes into installing every single conveyor bed. And just to give you a little bit of insight, there's over 3 miles of conveyors getting installed in just phase 2 of this project. So a ton of conveyors that need to go in. So a ton of planning of the sequencing and coordination. And as electrical installers on a conveyor project, we're responsible for any work going into the power and controls for each of these conveyor beds. We're really reliant upon the sub who installs the physical conveyor bed and any platforms to access it, because if there's no conveyor installed yet, we can't do our electrical install work. So of course, it's a little glimpse into our work, but I hope that it gives a little bit of background so that you can see the importance of staying on top of all these issues, really big or small, that might be holding us up in completing our work. So again, this Excel spreadsheet that we used in the past, although it did the job, it worked. You might be able to kind of guess the trend. It was super tedious and took a lot of time for us to keep up with. So now moving back to how we use OpenSpace, we've actually been able to convert most of these items that we used to track in this Excel spreadsheet into field notes on the OpenSpace platform. So instead of taking notes in the field and trying to remember exactly what the issue was when we get back to our office, as long as we've got like a phone or iPad on site, we have super easy access to all of our previous field notes we've created, but also are able to create new field notes in real time by simply snapping a quick photo on site and noting the issue in the app. So being able to have all these current issues on hand at any time has been really huge in helping us stay on top of everything. Let's go to the next slide. All right. I want to touch on one more thing in regards to how our team uses OpenSpace. So something that Chris and I have noticed is that the more we use the platform and the more people on our team that get familiar with it, the more uses we find for it. So for example, one guy on our team, he's a foreman, and he had a huge hand in the coordination between the field team and our BIM team. He was taking a look at the OpenSpace captures we've taken, and he was like, this could be super helpful for capturing installed conduit and cable tray runs for our BIM team to model off. So since our installation is taking place in an existing facility, there are times when something modeled by the BIM team needs to be field modified because maybe there's something blocking the route of what was originally mapped out. And at VECA, of course, it's super important that we provide accurate as-built to the customer at the end of the project. This is just one way this foreman found a use for OpenSpace. So instead of going out to site and snapping photos of runs, we can now provide full 360 views of anything really that the BIM team needs to as-built or model, like edit in the model. So that's awesome. Another example, just through conversation about OpenSpace a team member thought it could be useful for site investigation for a pre-con job that we picked up. The foreman leading this job has actually been involved in the capturing for the job and is now able to look at the different areas on OpenSpace and help inform the GC on some design issues based upon what's in the existing facility. So overall, I hope all these kind of use cases have been able to portray how simple OpenSpace is to use and really integrate into a project and how time saving it can be. I feel like, especially with some of the team collaboration that's happened on our project, we really are continuously finding new ways to use OpenSpace. You can go to the next slide.
So one challenge we face while working in an existing facility is that there's multiple projects and contractors working simultaneously in the same area. So one thing we've done recently is we've started getting captures of areas prior to starting any work. This allows us to verify if there's any pre-existing damage before we started any demo or installation. If damage is discovered before we start or even during time of installation, we can share our time and date stamped capture, which helps protect ourselves, our trade partners, and even the customer. Capturing field conditions before starting work can also be used to identify issues while investigating upcoming work, which I'll touch base on in the next slide. Before OpenSpace, we would take GoPro footage, but not all areas would be captured since it doesn't have the 360 image. So, you know, using the GoPro footage, you'd be able to see some things, but you couldn't pan around and get that 360 image and maybe capture that damage that you needed. Additionally, OpenSpace has made this information more accessible and organized by showing which areas have been captured with the timeline of the captures. So it's been huge for our team. Next slide.
Alrighty, so one way that we use the OpenSpace platform internally is to perform progress updates and percent complete. So tracking exactly what's been completed on our project every week. About once a week, I'll look at the most recent captures and verify what's actually been installed for the look ahead schedule. So has a conveyor been installed? Has electrical install started? Where are we at now, right? And then with that information, we can calculate percent complete. So these can be used for our project status reports with our division manager and monthly pay applications. We can even use captures to back up our pay applications in the event that the owner or GC might have any questions. And then again, internally, OpenSpace has been super helpful in allowing all of the people on our team, even if they aren't able to make it out to site frequently, to see exactly what's going on the project site. So for example, our BIM team, practically all remote, as I spoke to earlier, they're now able to hop onto OpenSpace and see the captures of the things such as, you know, conduit or cable tray runs that they might be needing to edit in the model. And having the full 360 view of the surroundings of what they're modeling has really led to more accuracy and just a quicker process overall. Okay.
As Sarah mentioned earlier, we're continuously finding new ways to leverage OpenSpace for our project, and we wanted to share a few examples. When estimating change orders, we use different labor rates depending on the difficulty of scope. OpenSpace captures can be used as backup to display conditions relating to the scope. Just as an example, we were able to use OpenSpace in a meeting with the owner to show that the area we were working in was highly congested, required working off lifts, and was in an active operations area, which helped justify the higher labor rates for this change order. OpenSpace can also be used to investigate field conditions to verify device locations or pathways. For example, let's say we're reviewing a new conduit pathway in an existing facility. While looking at locations in OpenSpace, we noticed an obstruction with some existing utilities. In this instance, we could create a field note that can be shared internally or with the GC to help resolve this issue in a timely manner. OpenSpace can also be used to provide backup for a notice of event. In one instance, we received drawing revisions after our installation was completed. We were able to provide OpenSpace screenshots, which are time and date stamped, showing that we had already completed the scope of work prior to receiving the new drawings. This helped justify the additional cost for changes in the new drawing set. OpenSpace also allows us to take screenshots that can be used to supplement RFIs, construction advisory forms, and shutdown requests. Let's say you're preparing a traffic control plan. You can use OpenSpace to take a screenshot, mark it up, and include it in your plan. So really that remote access is huge. One thing I would like to note is that all of this was doable before. OpenSpace just makes the information more accessible and streamlines the process. Next slide. So the field notes function can be used to record and document coordination walks between trade partners. OpenSpace allows you to print a report that can be shared with the GC or other subcontractors to provide a recap of the key points reviewed during the field walk. On our project, we have twice weekly coordination walks. Following each walk, we'll send a report of our field notes to the GC to ensure any issues being resolved in a timely manner. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see an example of our field notes. In this case, we had installed some electrical devices that were conflicting with mechanical piping. This was documented in the field notes, and we were able to provide an update when the conflict was resolved. Captures can also be used to check and update the schedule. We can reference captures during meetings to verify if the activity has been completed or if it is still in progress. Also, if an activity is delayed, a field note can be created to record and track any issues associated with the delay and help get the activity back on schedule. OpenSpace has made it easier to keep our notes organized for access on any device at any time. Next slide. So the field notes function allows us to track, categorize, and prioritize issues. We use the comment section to provide updates pertaining to the issues, and all the comments are time and date stamped to provide a history of the issue. Our goal is to hold all trade partners accountable to ensure issues are being resolved in a timely manner to help facilitate the project schedule. In the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a screenshot of the field note status, which can be used to prioritize your field notes. We use P1 for high priority, P2 for medium, and P3 for low priority. So this function allows you to quickly prioritize and access your field issues while on a coordination walk or in a meeting. I found this to be very useful while attending my twice weekly coordination walks on site. Additionally, our project is broken into 64 steps. OpenSpace allows you to add custom tags, so we're able to organize our field notes by step. So if we're walking a certain step with the GC, we can quickly jump to that step and go through those issues. Overall, OpenSpace increases the quality of coordination by getting quicker responses and streamlines the build. Next slide.
All right. So I'm just going to do kind of a quick summary here, and then we've been trying to answer some of the questions in the chat and coming in, but you're a bit too fast for us, so we'll get into them in a moment. But kind of to summarize some of the things we discussed. So a big sort of value driver for OpenSpace is just streamlining kind of the process of gathering documentation, sharing it, right? As Becca was touching on, the remote visibility of being able to have office teams kind of self-serve accessing data versus having to be texting and emailing back and forth. Accountability for partners and teams themselves, so you have that historical record of what was done when, kind of being able to communicate that just makes it easier to keep track of what's going on and what needs to get done. And that efficient communication piece, right? Being able to, without ambiguity or confusion, show where exactly an issue is, being able to communicate it again with those date and time stamps. But yeah, and then without further ado, kind of jumping into the Q&A here. Lisa, was there an order that we were going to go in?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. We've got all those taken care of so far that we've seen. So let's start with a couple that we've gotten from all of you. From Michael Eiligan and for Gabe to answer. Can I download the pictures or videos in 3D in my computer so I can view it even when I am offline?
Yeah, so the images can't be viewed offline in the sense that it is a web app. So we handle all of that hosting and storage for you. It is unlimited. Most projects end up with hundreds of gigabytes of data at the end of them. And then to handle another question from Michael here in terms of offline deliverable, I think is what was asked, and handovers to your client or the owner for the project at the end of the job. There is an offline deliverable format that is software agnostic. So you don't need any software from us to be able to access it. It's kind of a giant folder system with all the images and still has an HTML interface that you can use to select a specific sheet and a specific date, and then you can kind of click through the walk path viewing those images. So it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the website, but it is a nice way to be able to kind of navigate all of the 360 images and field notes from the project. So there is that offline format that's generally generated at the end. And in terms of the web storage, I just saw Hannah's question here. We do use AWS servers, but I know we have international teams on the call here. We do have servers across the planet for data sovereignty laws. So it's AWS. Where it's stored is dependent on where you are.
Great. Thank you. One more for you, Gabe, from an anonymous attendee. Can the capture data be archived at the end of a project so it can be viewed years after completion? We would like our work in OpenSpace to be handed over to clients.
Yeah, so kind of address that with the offline deliverable. So that's kind of the format that you would hand over to clients. It's pretty commonly kind of requested at the end of the project. And I saw another question that's life of the storage. Currently, customers get storage for 10 years after last activity of the project. And we do have options to sort of extend that. And again, you get the offline deliverable as well.
Yeah, great. Gabe, one more for you from Michael Annan. What is the cost of OpenSpace?
So in terms of cost, I think it'd be best to connect with one of the sales team members, kind of depending on what region you're in, for kind of discussing the pricing. There's a few different pricing models, kind of depending on what your use case is. I don't know if we have any architects or customers that wouldn't fall into kind of the contracting customer model. So yeah, you'll want to reach out to us and we'll connect you with the appropriate person to kind of discuss your situation.
Yeah, thank you. Again, Gabe from Charles Carreno, when you walk the sheet as you suggested, do you have to walk the same space multiple times for different discipline progress, such as architectural, MEP, FP?
No, so you're just walking the same sheet. You don't have to walk any set path. I also saw a question earlier about accuracy. I'm not sure who it was. I'm blanking on the name. But the path is, however you want to walk it, whatever length you want to walk. It is generally done on the architectural plans. You basically just want that ability to kind of reference where you were. We do have another product for automated progress tracking, which we're not going to get into today, but that is going to be kind of a centerpiece of our Waypoint user conference, which Lisa is going to talk about a little bit later. So I hope that answers that question. I did see another one from Mike asking what was the difference between OpenSpace and Matterport. That's a great question. I wanted to touch on Really, it's the speed. A lot of times customers use Matterport as a complement to OpenSpace because Matterport is going to get you those really kind of high-end marketing quality images. And OpenSpace is really about the speed and frequency of use. So you have that comprehensive record of construction across the entire project, right? Most of our customers are capturing multiple times a week. Some of them are capturing every day, right? Because it's as easy as kind of walking around, whereas with Matterport, you're kind of carrying the machine around.
Great. All right, Gabe, one more for you from Michael Annan. What types of dimensional information can be captured? For example, clearances between structures and components, and also to what accuracy is this dimensional data captured?
Yeah, so actually, let's have some fun here. You can't measure off of the 360 images, but we did actually roll out a LiDAR scanning feature with the Apple LiDAR enabled mobile devices. So what we're looking at now is a mesh generated from a mobile scan. You are able to measure within about an inch of accuracy, right? So it's not going to match up with a $70,000 laser scanner, but anytime kind of about within an inch of accuracy is acceptable, right? This is pretty much the fastest way I've seen to be able to kind of take and share measurable data. And it is three-dimensional, right? I can move through it like I would a model. And you are also capturing images the whole time that you're scanning. The process kind of looks like spray painting almost. It's kind of, you're going back and forth across the area. You can see the points populating there. So again, there is an option to measure, not currently out of the 360 images. So I did see another question about comparison of reality against the model. We wanted to kind of, again, keep this focused with some of the time constraints, but happy to jump into that. You are able to do a comparison of the captures against the model. We align it for you the first time. After that, any subsequent model updates, you just load in your new model. The alignment is carried over from the initial one, and then you're able to navigate anywhere within the captures, do comparisons, to verify the as-built model, check for completion, QA/QC. A lot of different use cases here, and you can just jump anywhere kind of on any of the captures and get that side-by-side comparison for a certain date or even kind of across time, right? So I can go back in time as well, do the captures and still be able to do that comparison.
Yeah. Thank you. Another one for you, Gabe, from an anonymous attendee. Does it need to be connected to the internet while taking pictures? What if I'm on a project where there is no Wi-Fi or cellular reception?
Yeah, so that's another great question. You need to have internet for the setup, right? Which just involves getting the floor plans loaded in. But then the entire capture process is designed to be done offline. You connect to the camera through the camera's own Wi-Fi network. Most of the time, most mobile devices will kind of kill the cellular data at that point anyway. But the entire process is designed, again, to be offline. So you don't need internet. Indoors GPS data is usually terrible. So the kind of the whole point of OpenSpace is kind of addressing those issues. And then you do have to have internet after the fact, right, when you upload, which can be done from the mobile app. You can do it from what we call the desktop sync app, which you would install on your computer. You just plug the camera in, it automatically uploads everything for you. But yeah, so again, you don't need cellular data, internet, or an available Wi-Fi network while you're walking. You would just need internet at some point after the fact to be able to upload the capture.
Great, thank you. Another one, Gabe, from Ermis Alber. Do you plan to introduce BCF format reports to send notes directly to modeling softwares like Revit or ArchiCAD, for example?
That is a great question, and I'm guessing that's coming to us from an international attendee. Don't see as many requests for that in the US, but we have been hearing it more and more from abroad. Our product management team is aware of it and is looking into it now. So can't say for certain, we'll have to ask the product team, but it's definitely something that's under consideration.
Great. From Oliver Tucson, will there be an integration between Procore?
Yeah, so we currently have kind of a two-part integration with Procore. There's the embedded app, so you can use all of the functionality of OpenSpace within Procore without needing to leave the platform. And then the field notes that we were showing integrate with Procore observations, RFIs, and pretty soon here punch list items, so that you're able to push field notes to Procore. The idea is really to avoid duplicate work whenever possible. So absolutely, that's ready and available to use now.
Great. We have an anonymous question of, will there be support for more cameras? The problem is our company already has some Ricoh Theta S 360 cameras.
Yeah, so over time, we are constantly looking at and evaluating adding new cameras. There is a reason kind of for some background on why we're not hardware agnostic. Our system is using data from the camera's sensors. That's kind of part of, along with the images, part of what makes OpenSpace so fast and so accurate and so seamless, right? You don't need to keep track of file names or any of that. You're just inputting kind of your starting point in the app and uploading it afterwards. You automatically have all of that date, time, location, orientation context in 15 minutes, right? And that's done through really tight integrations with these camera systems. I know right now, kind of the next camera that we're going to be integrating with is the Insta360. It's a tricky one. Their naming conventions are complicated, but Insta360 1 RS 1-inch 360 edition. So a new camera from Insta with a 1-inch sensor, which is next step. But yeah, if you're interested in trying this out, we're pretty frequently doing kind of promotional offers and deals where we can loan customers cameras or do site walks with them, obviously kind of depending on where you are as well. But definitely reach out to us, and we're happy to work with you to get a camera in your hands that we integrate with.
Yeah, thank you, Gabe. From Ariana Ramzian, when you are changing floors, do you stop it and then restart after marking the position on the new floor?
Yes, exactly. Great question. So yeah, when you're changing floors, you'd stop the capture at the end of the walk. Some customers will walk halfway up the stairwell, stop the capture, and start the next capture from kind of halfway up the stairwell from there if you want to get those. But yeah, you do need to stop the captures and start a new one when you're changing sheets. And again, it's just I think 4 clicks, right? From ending the capture to selecting the sheet location and starting the new one.
Yeah. We have one from Argenis Pelayo. Do you guys support the 360 images generated by laser scanners?
No, so we currently don't support outside 360 images uploaded after the fact. So all 360 images need to be kind of taken through the mobile app, right? Through cameras that we're integrated with. But again, we're constantly kind of looking at different hardware on the market and adoption with our customer base, prospective customers, to see what we're going to do next. So definitely feel free to reach out if you have a use case or something that you'd like to see us integrated with.
Great. From Alan TP, is the licensing per construction site or per company?
So either. So it can be by project. We also have a flexible sort of subscription model. So you can choose a portion of your projects or all of the volume that you're doing in a year. And the idea is really to make it as kind of self-serve and easy to set up as possible so you can spin it up really quickly. We also have pricing models to accommodate pre-con walks, like the VECA team was describing. So for any pre-con, pre-bid captures you might want to get in, you're able to do that as well.
Great. And we just have one more for you from June Peng. After the webinar, do you have a contact number where I can call if I have a question?
Absolutely. So we have a chat built into the site. You can also request demos. We also have a customer support number. So for any questions that you have, kind of if you're an existing customer now and you're curious about any of the use cases or features that we talked about, and then if you are an existing customer, you also have kind of the names and numbers of your current sales representative, customer success representative, and the solutions engineer. So kind of what I do or my equivalents for different regions. You kind of have that, all of that, support baked in to the cost of OpenSpace, which existing customers kind of have access to at any point. And again, if you're interested in conversations like these and aren't an existing customer currently, just reach out to us through the chat on the website, the demo request form on the website, and we're happy to take care of you or answer any questions.
Thank you. We did have a couple more last minutes roll in, and I think we have maybe time for just a couple of them. One was asking about AR, VR type technology. If you know that.
So it is something that we're looking into. I'd say kind of in general, our philosophy is kind of ease of use and ease of access, right? So kind of the reasoning why we use off-the-shelf 360 cameras. The kind of price range on the two that we currently recommend, kind of the two newest, is about $500 to $1,100. So again, really accessible versus something like a $20,000 VR camera, right? But again, definitely something we're looking into. We also have a reveal mode feature that you can use from the mobile app that's kind of similar to an AR experience, right? For many of the previous captures, you're able to do kind of an overlay pass through with what your mobile device's camera is seeing, where you can pan and you have a slider to compare 360 image to, again, what your camera is seeing in real life, to be able to kind of look behind walls and things like that. We are also looking at potentially providing a similar experience with the model on mobile. So you can do kind of like that overlay and comparison from your mobile device. So again, I think in terms of AR experiences, at least in the short term, we're going to be more focused on what can be done with something that everybody has in their pocket, like a mobile device, mobile phone, tablet, right? But we are constantly kind of evaluating, integrating with different VR headsets and things like that.
Great. And we actually did have a question roll in for the VECA team. Did you find a benefit in using the 360 cameras on horizontal work, highway and airport specifically?
Finally.
Yeah, I mean, so our captures are primarily at the airport. So it's been beneficial to us. I know there's a question regarding different levels. So underneath the airport in the Bagwell, it's full of catwalk, all sorts of different levels, horizontal, vertical, and we're able to get a capture of everything needed. So I would say it should work anywhere.
Great. All right, guys, I think that concludes the Q&A session. Gabe, if you'll advance one slide for me, please. We did want to let you guys know that if you found this webinar interesting, you can download our ebook, which has a lot more examples and details showing how teams are using 360 reality capture to gain more efficiency in QA and QC. You can use the link shown in this slide and also shared in the chat to download it for free. And if we could advance one more. we wanted to announce our second annual Waypoint Customer Summit, which will take place on October 5th, 2022. If you're interested, please save the date and more details will be coming very soon. And one more, please. And with that, we can wrap up today's presentation. Thank you so much for attending. Save the date for our next webinar on August 31st, where we'll show you how to stay competitive with 360 images. We'll send out the recording of this webinar to everyone via email in case you'd like to rewatch or share with your team. Thanks again.